Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the jet ski. We're trying to fix the red boat plug lights that I put in this thing after it sank. They haven't been working for a while, so we're gonna get after it. All right guys, so before I get into the issue and the fix, I wanna give you the backstory. So I was out on the ski, I think in June of last year, and we were coming back from Destin after riding it pretty hard. We had stopped to jump in the water, and then when we climbed back on the ski, we noticed that water was staying in the wells even after giving it gas. So the immediate thought was that this thing was starting to take on water, but we didn't know how. So I beelined from the middle of the Santa Rosa Sound towards the nearest beach, and we got about 3/4 of the way there before it died, and we had to jump off. Thank God we were in shallow enough water to where I could touch, and we were able to pull it in. And then luckily enough, a boat driving by ended up getting stuck on a sandbar. So after we pushed him off the sandbar, he towed this back to the marina for me, which was probably close to a mile that he towed this thing for me. So what ended up happening is the exhaust hose on the lower side of the motor back here, this one right here, ended up blowing off, and instead of pumping that water out with the jet wash, it ended up pumping it right into the engine bay. So that is how this ski ended up taking on water. The water on this was above the battery over here, so it had a significant amount of water in here. It was not the carbon seal, and it wasn't the exhaust. That's what it ended up being that made the ski ingest some water. So what ended up happening is we pulled off the whole upper end of this motor, got all the water out of the intake, and the valve covers, replaced all the spark plugs, did the boil out procedure. And funny enough, now that that has happened, it's running faster mile per hour than what it was prior to it sinking. So before I seen a consistent 74, the other day on this I hit 77 with a passenger and a cooler on the back. So funny enough, it's picking up mile per hour now after all of that. We are on a set of new plugs. We do have the free flow exhaust and the Riva water box. We are running a aftermarket air intake, and we have a catch can up here. Also have a Riva tune, so that's everything that is done to this ski. So that's the backstory. But what we're trying to get after today is I did end up running boat plug lights right down here. These are the red boat plug lights. I went with red just because it kind of matched the X and the RXTX. They were working great up until it sank. I ended up running the wires just along the side of the hole up through here and across, and I put my switch right here. Then I ran the wires down the other side through this hole and then down to the battery. The holes behind this panel. But they haven't been working for a while, so I lifted this cover off the other day, and all of my connections and wires were rusted out. And as soon as I pulled the wire actually broke. So I'm sure there's a bunch of bad connections all through here after it sank. So that is the current issue. So the remedy for that is a brand new waterproof plug. I got this off of Amazon, had like 6,000 reviews. Everybody had good things to say about it. The only thing I'm not sure of is where I want to mount that switch. Thought about drilling a hole through here so it can be mounted flush in there, or maybe right here underneath the seat or something. I'm not quite sure yet where I want to put the switch. But then I also bought some 18 gauge wire to run back to the new lights. And then I bought the Wirefly solder connectors. These are just the ones that you have to heat up, and it has a solder in the middle and 2 wax ends. That's what those blue lines are, is wax. So you don't got to worry about water getting to the connection. So I thought this might be a good fix just in case this thing happens to take on some water again. So first things first is I got to pull all these wires out. I'm going to pull them all the way back to the original wires on the light, which I have right down here in the smaller loom, and then see where the wire is good and bad, and then we'll start from there. I might even reroute how I'm running the wires currently, because this little wire loom you see right here is the lights, but I don't know how far water got in. I'm just going to assume that it got all the way back here, so I'm going to undo all of this and rerun these wires. All right, so I got a lot of the loom out, the old loom and the old wiring. But this is the positive, negative for these two lights, and then you just run them all together to make two. So I'm gonna clean up this connection right here. I'm not sure if there's rust and stuff in here. I'm gonna assume that there is. So I'm gonna redo this and clean it up, and then I'll let you guys know what I end up finding once I pull it apart. I'm hoping that these things end up making a lot better connection than what I have in there currently. Because honestly, I can't even remember what kind of connectors I used to do this, but we're about to find out. Okay guys, so this is how I ended up merging these wires. I just went from 2 down to 1 through these connectors. But you can see right here, these connections did end up getting salt water in them. That's what that blue oxidation is. So that's why I'm having to go back and redo all of this, because a lot of these are corroded now. So I'm just gonna clip the wire back here and then add in these new Wirefly connectors. And hopefully that'll do the trick, and I'll rerun the wires back to a switch. I did recently just end up replacing this battery too, because you can kind of see the corrosion on the terminals. So this battery, or the old battery, was completely submerged, and I think it was starting to drop a cell. So I did end up replacing the battery. The reason that it led me to believe it was dropping a cell is because normally I can go to the sandbar and let this thing play music all day. But when I was out last weekend, we pulled up to the spot and it ran for maybe a minute or two before it ended up turning off. And that wasn't because I pulled the key or anything off of it. It's just like it died. And then when we went to leave that night or that day, it was really, really slow to start. And I kind of felt as though like I could have been stranded, which has happened to me before on this thing. So I went ahead and replaced that battery. And now I'm getting after these lights. All right, guys, so I cut off the access and where the bad connections were, ran the wires back a little bit, twisted them together. So now I gotta run a new positive, negative line. And I'm just gonna go from here to the battery right away, just to see if as soon as they get power, if they'll turn on. So if they turn on, I know that my wiring is good all the way through. These connections might be bad too, but I don't see any of the blue like oxidation on those lines, so I'm gonna try it and see if it works. Worst case scenario is I'm gonna have to go back and redo this one too, but those ones look good. So we're gonna try this real quick, see if the lights power up, and then if they power up, then I'm gonna wire in the switch. Again, I still gotta figure out where I wanna put this because I haven't made up my mind yet. I cannot say enough good things about these Wirefly connections. They make soldering so easy. No more trying to fumble around with a heat gun and solder. And then when you're trying to film and solder at the same time, you just don't have enough hands to make it happen. So yeah, this is a thing of the past now. You literally just heat this up and the wax melts on both ends, and then the solder melts the two wires together. Super easy. Like I said again, guys, don't waste your time with soldering guns anymore. These things are the way to go. So here we are at the moment of truth. I went ahead and connected the negative side to the negative terminal on the battery, and theoretically I should be able to touch this red wire to the positive side, and we should get red light out the back. If not, this connection right here might still be bad. I might have to go back and retract that. I did end up leaving myself quite a bit of wire so I can figure out where I want to put that switch, because I don't know yet. I think this switch is shot. I tried to power it and I didn't get anything. Normally this little light right here lights up blue, but it wasn't doing anything. So this one's trash now, but let's see. So here is my positive wire. I touch it down here to the battery. And yep, so the lights are fine. It was just the connections that were the issue. So now that this all works, I can wire in the switch and we will be ready to rock for next time we're out there for those sunset rides, to make it look like the RXTX is shooting fire out the back. Looks pretty cool when it starts getting dark. So I did want to give you guys a look at this switch. So right here is the wiring diagram, and this right here is the actual switch. It glows yellow once it has power. And then it does come also with this wiring harness to give you a little bit of wire to play with. That plugs right into the back of that switch. But right now what I actually have is I have the positive negative from the device already. So from the lights, I need to run the red wire that I already have running right there to the red right here. And then the negative that I have, so the black wire, the long one, can still stay going to the battery. Then I'm gonna have to run another one from the switch to the battery to give the switch power. So it looks fairly straightforward. We'll try to knock it out here in a timely manner, and we'll see if it all cooperates with me tonight. All right, guys, so you know how I thought that those wires back here were good, and I might be able to get away with it. Turns out I couldn't. Once I powered up the switch and turned on the lights, only the left light was working, and this right one was like flickering, so I had a loose connection. So I've been since going back through here, I cut out all the old connections, which you can see, these were the issues right there at the end. So I cut that out, put in all new wire, still using the wire flies, and I'm going back and redoing everything. I got one last negative line to do, and then hopefully both the lights will be on and both strong, not like one being dimmer than the other, if that makes any sense. Then I did end up drilling a hole up here. Don't mind the mess, I'll clean this all out. I'm gonna put black RTV sealant around this, but this is the switch, and when you turn it on, it lights up yellow, which I thought was pretty cool. So once I get it all cleaned up and bolted back together, I'll show you guys the finished product, and I'll also show you the lights at the back. All right, guys, so I did end up getting that last negative wire connected. Those wire flies are a godsend. Again, I know I brought it up a couple of times, but those things have made this job so fast. Don't mind the mess. I'm gonna clean up all the mess from rewiring these lights, but here is the moment of truth. So again, here is that yellow switch. I'll clean all this out too, don't mind the mess. But you can already tell the lights are both brighter here in the back, so it looks like they're both on already. And we'll see if they're both like the same strength. Oh yeah, looks like they're both good. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So now I'm about to wire loom the loose wires that I have right here across the middle section of this harness, so it looks all clean, and bolt the ski back together. Super happy with those lights, that I was able to get those working again, but even more happy with the switch placement. That yellow switch was pretty sweet. So again, I'm gonna put some black RTV sealant around that just to make it look a little cleaner, but super happy with how that turned out. Also, before I move on, I wanted to show you guys this switch. You have to get a very low profile switch to be able to go in here, because if not, when you close it, it hits the top of the lid, and then you can't get a latch on this top portion of your jet ski. So again, it has to be very low profile switch. Again, this one is from Amazon. I'll throw the link in the description if you guys are trying to do anything like that. All right, guys, I got the engine all buttoned up, everything zip tied down and taped up. Like I said, I am gonna go back over that with black at some point, but I couldn't find it tonight. But everything's zip tied down, all the wires are good. I finished cleaning up the ski. I threw this little lantern up here so you guys can see how flush that switch is. Once you go ahead and click it, it lights up yellow. And then we got both lights on here at the back. Again, these are the boat plug lights. Super simple to install. It just took me a long time to chase down all the electrical gremlins after this jet ski did end up taking on water above the battery. So I had to chase those down tonight. It took me a little while, but we got it. So overall, I like how it ended up turning out. I think this switch is 10 times better than what that old one was that comes with the boat plug setup. But yeah, guys, there you have it. She is done. The only other update I have for the ski was I just replaced the fire extinguisher because the other one was rusted out. But other than that, she's good to go. I'll get back to you guys and let you know if that battery fixes my slow start issue. And then I'll get back to you guys with another video. So if you guys like this one, please hit that like button and subscribe. It does help the channel out as far as the algorithm. And the last thing I'm gonna do is throw this deck on the seat and put the cooler back on top. And that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks you guys for watching.